What's up, guys? Breaking news. Floyd Mayweather is going to be fighting Logan Paul on February 20th in 2021. It has been confirmed by Floyd himself that this exhibition bout is going to happen on pay-per-view. A lot of people are a bit skeptical that this would happen after what just happened with, Jake Paul fighting Nate Robinson and a bunch of these other YouTube fights. But now we're actually having not only a professional boxer versus a YouTuber, we're having the greatest boxer of all time versus a YouTuber. And this changes the game completely, not only for boxing, but for MMA as well. So this can also be a bit worrisome even for MMA fans. If we're having someone on Floyd Mayweather's level taking these kind of fights, it means that we're probably going to see this as more of a norm. There's going to be more of these fights that are going to happen, especially if Floyd vs. Logan Paul is going to be successful on pay-per-view. If the numbers come out and it proves to be what I think is one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time, we are definitely going to see guys like Canelo fight probably YouTubers, other professional boxers fight YouTubers, even MMA fighters might cross over into the ring to fight YouTubers, maybe some of the bigger stars like a Conor McGregor. A lot of boxers are in this sport to make money, right? They're prize fighters, MMA fighters and boxers. If they see that Floyd gets paid $200-300 million fighting Logan Paul, which is essentially not even as challenging as a sparring match in his gym, what is stopping from other boxers doing the same, right? They're gonna look at this and be like, man, I could do this too. Canelo's gonna be like, I could probably make $100 million fighting one of these guys, or maybe $50 million, and it's only like a sparring match, not even. MMA fighters like Conor McGregor or Jorge Masvidal, many guys can come into the sport of boxing and do the same sort of thing and not lose a sweat, not risk getting hurt at all, barely have to train for the fight, don't even need a training camp really to handle one of these guys. Now this is a good and bad thing for the professional fighters. The good thing is easy money. Fight a popular YouTuber like one of the Paul brothers and make easy money, treat this almost like a sparring match, get back into fighting, and make another quick buck after that. Now the bad thing about all this is legitimately going to hurt the credibility of the sport. If boxers do it, it's going to hurt the sport of boxing. If MMA fighters are going to do it, it's going to hurt MMA more. Now, one fight is not going to do enough damage, but if it keeps happening, if it becomes a norm, 100% people are not going to look at these sports the same way. It's not going to seem as a serious sport where the actual professionals should be taken seriously. And ultimately, these YouTuber fights are going to draw in a different kind of crowd, right? A lot of the people are going to watch this are going to be people who watch guys like Logan Paul, watch these YouTubers, not specifically the hardcore fans of the sport. They're not going to care as much. And because they don't have as much interest in these kind of exhibition fights, if it keeps happening, the sport is going to draw those fans away. If you lose the hardcore fans, you lose the base, you lose the foundation of the sport. If you don't have a hardcore base that's locked in always to watch everything the sport does, the sport can ultimately die because now they have to depend on these kind of exhibition fights, right? Then it has to always happen in order for the sport to survive. Now, of course, the only time we cross that point is if multiple of these fights happen in a very short amount of time. So we just had Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson in a boxing match. Now we're having the greatest boxer of all time fighting another YouTuber. And that is what I think is the thing that might hurt this more than anything else. Now, I don't know what the cost is going to be for this pay-per-view. It might be $100, it might be $60, it might be $50. You know how Floyd likes to up the pay for a lot of these pay-per-views? He likes to earn a lot of money out of these, and 100% people are going to watch him. I predict that this pay-per-view is going to be one of the biggest pay-per-views in boxing history. Floyd already holds many numbers, many pay-per-view records in the sport of boxing, and this is definitely going to be one of the top as well. But it's going to draw in another crowd that may shock a lot of people of how many there are, how many people are going to be interested in this. Now, there is an argument that these kind of fights can draw in more attention to the sport of boxing. I agree with this, but not when you have someone as credible as Floyd fighting someone like Logan Paul, because everybody knows it's kind of like not a farce per se. It's not going to be fixed or anything like that. Floyd does not need the fight to be fixed to do his work in there, handle Logan Paul. He doesn't have to train for the fight and he'll win this easily. But everybody knows it's a cash grab. It's an easy fight, not going to be competitive. After like one or two of these, hopefully people aren't going to be as interested in seeing a professional boxer fight a YouTuber. If Logan Paul is going to lose to another YouTuber in KSI in a boxing match, or even get in a close fight with that guy, everybody has to know what a professional boxer would do to someone like Logan Paul. It doesn't matter the size, doesn't matter that Floyd is 5'8" and 150 pounds. It does not matter. He could be 120 pounds. People really have to respect the skill of fighters. And I know a lot of people who are not as knowledgeable in martial arts cannot really comprehend how much skill matters. When you don't see it in front of you, you can't really comprehend how much it actually affects affects a fight. It doesn't matter how big Logan is, doesn't matter how powerful he is, doesn't really matter how fast he is, doesn't matter how athletic he is, doesn't matter how young he is. The skills of a professional boxer will always trump everything about someone who just relies on size. So my official prediction for the fight, I think Floyd Mayweather handles him, does whatever he wants to him. I don't think he knocks him out in the first round, although it is a huge possibility that can happen if Floyd comes out there right away and just tries to go for the knockout. I don't know what the rules are going to be for the exhibition fight. Probably something around what Mike Tyson and Roy Jones was probably going to be, but the fact that it's a professional boxer versus, I guess you say, amateur boxer who's had like 2 amateur fights or whatever it was, maybe they're going to have some more restrictions on this one so Logan Paul does not get hurt. Maybe headgear, maybe bigger gloves, maybe shorter rounds, maybe less rounds. There's a lot of things that might change in this compared to Tyson versus Roy Jones, which was between 2 legends of the same age, professional boxers, some of the greatest of all time. This is very different. So I think Floyd Mayweather is going to win by I actually think he might just carry the fight all the way through. I think he might just go into a decision. He can finish the fight whenever he wants, but I have a feeling he might just carry it and not try to hurt Logan Paul that much. So strange days, strange times for boxing. And I do feel for some of the hardcore boxing fans. I 100% do, man. After we just saw Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia, I mean, that's a high-level fight. Now we got the announcement of Floyd and Logan Paul, which is crazy. I am going to watch it though. I'm always interested in these kind of freak fights, but I definitely don't want this to be the normal thing. You know what I will say though is the YouTubers, guys like Logan Paul, KSI, Jake Paul, any of the YouTubers that want to get into boxing, they should chase this because now they know they could draw in some of the biggest stars in sports. They can make a lot of money for themselves, big notoriety, and ultimately if one of their dreams is to get in there with a professional boxer of the level of Floyd Mayweather, I mean, many people want to get in the ring with that guy, whether it be for respect, for competition, because they look up to the guy, whatever it is. These YouTubers get the chance to do that while other professional boxers do not. So if I was a YouTuber, if you were a YouTuber, I guarantee we would all do the same sort of thing. So you can't knock the YouTubers for trying to do this. For people who don't like this sort of thing, it's the fans that watch it, and it's also the boxers that really deserve some of the blame for allowing this to continue. Now, personally for me, I don't really mind it too much. I just don't want it to be a normal thing. If it happens once or twice a year, I'm okay with it personally. I'll watch it. It's a little bit different. Some freak fights. We know Pride FC and MMA, they always had this sort of stuff. I mean, we had crazy fights that used to happen back in the day. And, you know, we had Muhammad Ali versus Inoki decades ago happen as well, and that drew in a lot of attention. So it is a bit interesting. So very strange news. And leave in the comments below, what do you guys think about this? Do you guys like it? Do you only like these kind of fights happening occasionally, often, or never? Right? I might actually raise a poll on YouTube here to see what you guys actually think about this. Because I know there is an audience for this. I know there's a lot of people who love these kind of things, and I know there's a lot of people who don't. There's people who think it's going to hurt the sports, but there's also people who think it's only going to help the sports. It's a very interesting argument to have, very interesting debate, and I think it's going to be a lot more live. A lot of people are going to discuss this kind of thing for the next couple months. Do these kind of fights hurt or help the sport? And that is a very interesting question. But for my next video, it's going to be the podcast. That's going to come up probably Tuesday. And my prediction video might also come out on Tuesday, if not Wednesday, for the next event. And I'll see you guys then.